Seattle's rain fell in a gentle drizzle, cloaking the Carter penthouse in a shimmering veil, as the city's skyline glowed faintly through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting soft shadows across the polished hardwood floors. 8-year-old Lily Carter perched on her bed, her small hands delicately arranging a scrapbook of pressed flowers, each petal a cherished relic from summers spent with her mother, Emily, who had filled their days with laughter and garden walks before her sudden illness stole her away 2 years ago. The penthouse, high above the city's hum, was a monument to her father James's success as a tech entrepreneur, its sleek lines and modern elegance a stark contrast to the warmth Emily once brought to every corner. Lily's hazel eyes, mirrors of her mother's, lingered on a pressed violet. Its edges faded from a day at Volunteer Park when Emily taught her to name flowers by their stories, this one dubbed Twilight Whisper for its dusky hue. From downstairs, James's voice carried an unfamiliar spark. "Lily, sweetheart, can you come down? I've got something special to tell you." The excitement in his tone stirred a flutter of unease in Lily's chest, and she carefully tucked her scrapbook under her pillow, her fingers brushing the worn cover as she descended the spiral staircase to the living room. James stood by the glass coffee table, his tall frame relaxed in a charcoal sweater, his dark hair slightly mussed, a rare smile breaking through the grief that had shadowed him since Emily's passing. As the founder of Nexus Innovations, he was a celebrated figure in Seattle, but today his joy felt personal, almost fragile, a flicker of the man he'd been before loss dimmed his light. "Lily, you've met Cassandra," he began, his voice warm, but tinged with nervousness. "She's brought so much happiness back into my life, and I've asked her to marry me." She said yes. The words hit Lily like a cold gust, her breath catching as she pictured Cassandra Wells, the poised interior designer, with sleek blonde hair and a smile that felt too perfect, like a painting hung slightly off-center. They'd met a handful of times, Cassandra's compliments about Lily's sketches polite but fleeting, her blue eyes never quite meeting Lily's, as if she were performing for an audience of one. James. He continued, his enthusiasm spilling. "Over. We're planning a spring wedding at the Botanical Garden, and Cassandra's excited to join our family. Maybe even redecorate your room with you. Wouldn't that be fun?" Lily's fingers twisted the hem of her cardigan, her mind racing with conflicting emotions. She wanted her father to smile like this, to shake off the sorrow that had clung to him, but something about Cassandra's polished charm rang false, like a melody played out of tune. She glanced at the mantel, where a photo of Emily stood, her mother's gentle smile framed by wildflowers, a silent anchor in the room's sterile elegance. "I'm glad you're happy, Dad," Lily said softly, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach, forcing a small smile to mirror his hope. James pulled her into a warm hug, his familiar scent of cedar and coffee enveloping her, but his joy felt like a bridge he couldn't cross, as if he were stepping into a new world where she didn't fully belong. As he launched into plans for a family dinner with Cassandra, detailing how she'd already picked out linens for the guest room, Lily's gaze drifted to the violet she'd left in her scrapbook, a quiet promise to her mother to hold on to their past. The penthouse hummed with the distant sounds of the city, but for Lily it was as if the rain outside echoed the uncertainty pooling in her heart, a whisper of doubt she couldn't name, but couldn't ignore. Cassandra's flawless demeanor, her too smooth words, set off a silent alarm in Lily's young mind, a seed of suspicion that took root as she stood in her father's embrace, determined to protect the fragile family they had left, even if it meant facing a truth James couldn't yet see. Seattle's spring rain fell in a steady rhythm, cloaking the Carter penthouse in a soft grey haze, as Lily Carter moved through her days with a growing sense of unease, her 8-year-old heart heavy with the weight of her father James's engagement to Cassandra Wells. The sleek penthouse, perched high above the city's bustling streets, felt less like a home and more like a stage where Cassandra played her part, her polished smiles and honeyed words masking something Lily couldn't yet name. In her bedroom, Lily poured her observations into her scrapbook journal, its pages once filled with pressed flowers from her mother Emily, now doubling as a detective's log, her childish handwriting detailing Cassandra's secretive glances and the way her laughter faltered when James turned away. Lily sketched Cassandra's profile with quick, careful strokes, capturing the sharp angle of her jaw and the guarded flicker in her blue eyes, a contrast to the warmth Emily's hazel gaze once held. At school, Lily's distraction was palpable, her pencil idle during math as she replayed Cassandra's dismissive comment about Emily's flower collection. "We'll need to clear out some of that clutter, darling," she'd said, her tone sweet but edged with disdain. James, swept up in wedding plans and late nights at Nexus Innovations, seemed blind to these subtleties, his smiles brighter than they'd been since Emily's death, making Lily's stomach twist with guilt for doubting the woman who'd brought him back to life. One evening, James hosted a charity gala in the penthouse's expansive event space, the room aglow with crystal chandeliers and the hum of Seattle's elite. Lily lingered near a tray of sparkling cider, her lavender dress feeling too tight. As she watched Cassandra glide through the crowd, her sleek blonde hair catching the light as she charmed guests with tales of designing villas in Tuscany. A man approached her, his lean frame and sly grin setting him apart from the other guests. Lily's breath caught as she recognized him from a fleeting glimpse at a coffee shop weeks ago, his name unknown, but his presence now etched in her mind as Ethan. Their conversation, tucked behind a towering fern, was hushed, but Lily saw Cassandra's posture stiffen, her smile faltering as Ethan leaned close, his hand brushing hers in a way that felt too intimate for a stranger. She couldn't hear their words, but the urgency in their gestures sent a chill down her spine, and she committed Ethan's sharp features to memory, later sketching him in her journal with a note, "Who is he? Why does Cassandra look scared?" Aunt Sarah, James's older sister and a sharp-eyed lawyer, noticed Lily's preoccupation and pulled her aside, her hazel eyes mirroring Lily's own as she whispered, "You're watching Cassandra like a hawk, kiddo. What's going on?" Lily hesitated, then spilled her fears about Cassandra's coldness when James wasn't around, her secretive phone calls on the balcony, and the strange man at the gala. Sarah's brow furrowed, her lawyer's instincts kicking in. "I've always thought Cassandra's stories were too perfect, like she's reading from a script, but we need proof before we worry your dad." The turning point came when James left for a 3-day conference in San Francisco, leaving Lily alone with Cassandra for the first time, the penthouse feeling cavernous without his warmth. Late that night, unable to sleep, Lily crept to the Iggy A kitchen for water, her bare feet silent on the hardwood as she passed the study, where Cassandra's voice drifted through the cracked door, stripped of its usual sweetness. "The policy's in place, Ethan, 30 million, clean and simple, but we need to move fast after the wedding," she hissed, her tone sharp and calculating. Lily's glass slipped, clinking softly against the counter, and Cassandra's head snapped toward the sound, her heels clicking as she strode to the doorway. Thinking quickly, Lily ducked behind the kitchen island, her heart pounding so loudly she feared Cassandra would hear it, but the woman muttered, "Probably the damn cat," and returned to her call. Lily waited, breathless, until Cassandra's footsteps faded, then tiptoed to her room, her hands trembling as she added the conversation to her journal, underlining 30 million and accident with a shaky hand. The next morning, while Cassandra was out for a wedding dress fitting, Lily slipped into the study, her pulse racing as she found Cassandra's laptop left open on the desk, a rare oversight that felt like a gift. Holding her breath, she clicked through folders, her fingers clumsy on the trackpad, until she found one labeled Nexus Insurance containing a scanned document for a $30 million life insurance policy on James, naming Cassandra as the sole beneficiary, signed just 2 days prior. Lily's chest tightened, her mother's daisy pendant heavy around her neck as she fumbled with her phone to snap photos, the screen's glare blurring the images slightly as her hands shook. The sound of Rosa, the housekeeper, calling her name from the hallway sent a jolt of panic through her and Lily quickly closed the laptop, slipping back to her room to pretend she was reading, her heart hammering as she hid her phone under her pillow. That evening at dinner, Cassandra's eyes lingered on Lily, her smile tight as she asked about school, her tone probing, as if testing whether Lily had overheard her call. Lily forced a cheerful reply, her mind screaming with the knowledge of the insurance policy, knowing she needed more evidence but terrified of Cassandra's growing suspicion. Sarah's text later that night, confirming Mr. Daniels, a private investigator, was digging into Cassandra's past, offered a flicker of hope, but the penthouse felt like a maze of secrets, each room holding the echo of Cassandra's lies. Lily clutched her scrapbook, whispering to Emily's memory for courage, her resolve hardening to protect her father from the woman whose charm masked a dangerous plan, even as fear gnawed at her that time was slipping away. The Seattle rain had settled into a persistent drizzle, mirroring the unease that clung to 8-year-old Lily Carter as she sat in her bedroom, her scrapbook journal open to a page where her shaky sketches of Cassandra Wells and the mysterious Ethan stared back, their secretive exchange at the gala and the overheard phone call about a $30 million insurance policy on her father James, looping in her mind like a haunting refrain. The penthouse, once a sanctuary of her mother Emily's warmth, now felt like a stage where Cassandra's polished smiles masked a chilling intent, and Lily's small hands trembled as she added another note. Cassandra's eyes are different when Dad's not here, cold, like she's counting something. At school, Lily's distraction drew the attention of her teacher, Miss Harper, whose warm brown eyes softened with concern as she noticed Lily's untouched art project, a half-drawn daisy abandoned on the page. After class, Miss Harper knelt. Beside her, her voice gentle, "Lily, you've been so quiet lately. Is everything okay at home?" Lily's throat tightened, the weight of her secret pressing down, but fear of being dismissed as a jealous child held her back until she whispered, "What if someone's pretending to be nice but wants to hurt someone I love? What if no one believes me because I'm just a kid?" Miss Harper's expression grew serious, urging Lily to write down every detail she'd seen, dates, times, specific moments, and to share it with a trusted adult like her Aunt Sarah, because sometimes kids see what grown-ups miss. Emboldened, Lily texted Sarah that afternoon, her fingers fumbling, "Aunt Sarah, I need to talk about Dad and Cassandra. It's an emergency." And Sarah replied instantly, arranging to meet at a small cafe near Pike Place Market, far from the penthouse's watchful walls. At the cafe, surrounded by the clatter of cups and the scent of roasted coffee, Lily poured out her fears, her voice barely above a whisper, as she showed Sarah the blurry photos of the insurance policy and her journal entries about Cassandra's late-night call with Ethan, 30 million clean and simple post-wedding. Sarah's hazel eyes, so like Lily's, narrowed with a lawyer's precision. "I've always thought Cassandra's stories were too smooth, like she's hiding something. But we need hard proof to convince your dad. He's too smitten to see it." Sarah promised to help, hiring Mr. Daniels, a private investigator with a gruff demeanor and a knack for uncovering hidden truths, who began digging into Cassandra's past, soon discovering her real identity as Laura Bennett, linked to shady financial dealings in California and Nevada. Back at the penthouse, Lily tried to warn James during a quiet moment over dinner, her voice small. "Dad, Cassandra's different when you're not around. She's mean. And I saw her with a man named Ethan. They're planning something." James's face softened with pity. "Not belief, sweetheart. I know it's hard to share me with someone new. Cassandra's trying to fit in. Give her a chance." Cassandra, entering with a tray of dessert, overheard and swooped in, her smile syrupy. "Poor Lily. It's natural to miss your mom. I'm here for you." Her words dripping with false warmth that made Lily's skin crawl. Later, while Cassandra was distracted with wedding calls, Lily slipped into the guest room Cassandra used as an office, her heart pounding as she found a locked drawer, which she opened with a paperclip, a trick Emily had taught her for old jewelry. Boxes. Inside was a burner phone, its screen lighting up with texts from Ethan, finalized post-wedding, Keep the kid quiet, sending a shiver through Lily as she snapped photos, her hands shaking so badly the images blurred. The sound of Cassandra's heels approaching forced Lily to shove the phone back and dart to her room, narrowly avoiding detection. The next morning, Cassandra's gaze lingered at breakfast, her tone probing. "You've been so curious lately, Lily. Anything on your mind?" Her eyes narrowing as if she sensed Lily's snooping. Lily mumbled about a school project, her pulse racing, knowing Cassandra suspected her but unable to back down. Sarah's texts kept her grounded, updating her that Mr. Daniels had found a photo of Laura Bennett with Ethan at a Las Vegas casino, confirming they were partners in crime and romance, a discovery that made Lily's stomach churn with urgency. Yet James remained enchanted, planning the wedding with a joy that broke Lily's heart, his dismissal of her concerns feeling like a betrayal, though she knew he was blinded by hope. A quiet afternoon with Sarah at a park overlooking the Puget Sound offered solace. Sarah's arm around Lily as they shared memories of Emily naming flowers, her voice soft. "Your mum would be so proud of your courage. We'll protect your dad together." Lily's resolve hardened, her journal a lifeline to Emily's memory. Each entry a vow to save James from Cassandra's web of lies, but the fear of her retaliation grew. Cassandra's icy stares a constant reminder that the wedding was approaching, and Lily's time to act was running out, her small heart torn between love for her father and the terror of facing a woman whose secrets could destroy them all. The Seattle Botanical Garden glowed under a glass-domed atrium, its lush greenery draped with white orchids and twinkling fairy lights, transforming the space into a dreamlike wedding venue. But for 8-year-old Lily Carter, each step down, the aisle as a flower girl felt like walking into a trap, her lavender dress too tight, her basket of petals a painful reminder of her mother Emily's garden. The crowd of Seattle's elite buzzed with admiration for Cassandra Wells's elegance, her designer gown shimmering as she glided toward the altar. But Lily's hazel eyes saw only the cold calculation behind her veiled smile, knowing Cassandra was Laura Bennett, a con artist plotting to kill her father James for a $30 million insurance payout. James stood tall in his tuxedo, his smile radiant with a happiness that tore at Lily's heart, oblivious to the danger as he gazed at Cassandra, while Lily's scrapbook journal, hidden in her room, held the damning evidence. Photos of the insurance policy, texts from Ethan, Cassandra's accomplice, and notes of her chilling plans. Lily's attempts to warn James had been blocked by Cassandra's vigilant bridesmaids and the wedding planner's insistence on keeping the groom sequestered, leaving Lily feeling like a lone soldier in a war no one else saw. Aunt Sarah, stationed in the back row with Mr. Daniels, the private investigator, caught Lily's eye, her subtle nod signaling their plan was in place, while Miss Harper, invited as a family friend, whispered as Lily passed her pew, "You're so brave, sweetheart, hold on to that strength." The string quartet's melody faded, and the officiant's voice echoed through the atrium, Lily's pulse hammering as she gripped her basket, knowing the moment to act was near. When the officiant intoned, "If anyone knows of any reason why this couple should not be joined, speak now or forever hold your peace." The room fell silent, and Lily felt the world slow, her breath shallow as she stepped forward, her voice trembling but clear. "Dad, stop, you can't marry her." A collective gasp rippled through the guests, James's face paling with shock and embarrassment as he whispered, "Lily, what are you doing, sweetheart?" "She's Laura Bennett, not Cassandra," Lily pressed on, her voice gaining strength. "She and Hythen are planning to hurt you for the insurance money. I have proof in my scrapbook." The atrium erupted in scandalized murmurs, Cassandra's composure fracturing for a split second before she clutched James's arm, her voice breaking with, "Practice tears, James. She's just a child. She's upset about us. Don't let this ruin our day." Lily's heart sank, but Sarah strode into the aisle, Mr. Daniels at her side, his folder of evidence open. "James, this isn't jealousy. Laura Bennett has a history of fraud. She's conned wealthy men before. We have photos and documents." Mr. Daniels held up images of Cassandra as Laura with Ethan in Las Vegas and Miami, alongside records of suspicious financial dealings, his voice steady. "We've alerted the police. They're on their way." James's eyes darted between Lily, Sarah, and Cassandra, confusion warring with betrayal as he demanded, "Cassandra, what is this? Tell me it's not true." Her tears flowed, perfectly timed. "I can't believe you'd let them humiliate me like this." But Lily, desperate, played her final card. "Dad, my scrapbook's in the bridal suite. I hid copies of everything. The insurance policy, her texts with Ethan, her plans for an accident." The word accident hit James like a blow, his doubt surfacing as he signaled the wedding planner. "Get Lily's scrapbook now, we're sorting this out." Cassandra's facade cracked, her eyes darting to Ethan, disguised as a photographer near the atrium's glass exit, his tense stance betraying his urge to flee. The wait for the scrapbook was agonizing, guests shifting in their seats, their whispers a low hum as Lily stood exposed at the altar, her courage the only thing keeping her from crumbling. When the planner returned, James took the scrapbook, his hands trembling as he flipped through its pages. Blurry photos of the $30 million policy, incriminating texts from Ethan, and Lily's meticulous notes in her childish scrawl. His face, crumpling with the devastating truth. "Cassandra, how could you?" he whispered, his voice raw with betrayal. In a flash, Cassandra snatched the scrapbook, her charm replaced by venom as she hissed at Lily, "You meddling brat, you've ruined everything." Mr. Daniels stepped forward. "Ms. Bennett, the police are outside, you're not going anywhere," but Cassandra shoved through the crowd, Ethan bolting from his post to join her as they sprinted for the exit. Security, alerted by Sarah, tackled Ethan just as he reached the glass doors, but Cassandra slipped into a waiting car, its tires screeching as she vanished into the Seattle dusk. The atrium dissolved into chaos, guests spilling onto the lawn as police sirens wailed. James pulling Lily into a fierce embrace, his voice breaking, "My brave girl, you were right. I'm so sorry I didn't listen." Lily clung to him, tears streaming down her face, relief and fear colliding as she realized they'd stopped the wedding but not the danger. Cassandra's parting glare, a promise of vengeance that chilled her to the core. The garden meant for celebration had become a battlefield, and as James held her tightly, Lily knew their fight was far from over, her heart pounding with the triumph of being believed and the dread of what Cassandra might do next. The Seattle Botanical Gardens fairy lights had faded into memory, but the chaos of the thwarted wedding lingered like a storm cloud over 8-year-old Lily Carter as she sat in Aunt Sarah's cozy Capitol Hill townhouse, the soft glow of a fireplace, doing little to warm the chill of Cassandra Wells's escape. The revelation that Cassandra was Laura Bennett, a con artist plotting to kill Lily's father James for a $30 million insurance payout, had shattered the illusion of their perfect family-to-be, leaving the penthouse feeling like a haunted shell, prompting James and Lily to seek refuge at Sarah's home. Lily curled up on the couch, her scrapbook journal open to a blank page, her pencil idle as she replayed her father's devastated expression at the altar, his trust in Cassandra crumbling as he read her evidence, photos of the insurance policy, texts with Ethan, and notes of a planned accident. James sat nearby, his coffee untouched, his once vibrant demeanor dulled by betrayal, his eyes carrying a haunted weight that broke Lily's heart, though his gentle hand on hers during their drive to Sarah's whispered a silent gratitude, their bond stronger despite the silence between them. Sarah, ever the anchor, coordinated with Detective Larson, a stern but empathetic officer who assured them Cassandra's face was on every law enforcement alert, with Ethan, her accomplice, in custody after being tackled at the wedding, now spilling details of their scams to lessen his sentence. That night, as rain lashed the townhouse windows, Lily jolted awake to a faint creak downstairs, her pulse racing as she clutched her mother Emily's daisy pendant, Cassandra's venomous glare. "You've ruined everything," echoing in her mind, like a warning of retribution. Creeping to the hallway, she overheard Sarah whispering to James about a break-in attempt at the penthouse, a neighbor reporting a hooded figure near the service entrance, security footage catching a glimpse of a woman resembling Cassandra, before she vanished into the night. Lily's breath caught, fear gripping her as she slipped back to her room. The realization that Cassandra was still out there, possibly stalking them, making her feel like a mouse in a trap. The next morning, Detective Larson arrived. His voice, calm but urgent, commending Lily's bravery, young lady. You've given us a head start, but Laura Bennett's desperate. She's lost her plan and her freedom, so stay vigilant. James, his jaw tight, vowed to upgrade the penthouse's security, but agreed to keep Lily at Sarah's for safety. A decision she protested, her voice fierce. I'm not leaving you, Dad. We face this together. Her determination, so like Emily's, brought a flicker of a smile to James's face, and he pulled her close, whispering, You're my strength, Lily. I should have trusted you from the start. Sarah updated them on Mr. Daniel's findings, the private investigator uncovering Cassandra's use of a fake ID to rent a car in Tacoma, suggesting she was still nearby, her pride likely stung by a child's interference, making her unpredictable. In the quiet of Sarah's backyard, Lily and James planted a daisy, a nod to Emily's love of gardens, their hands pressing the soil together in a tender moment that felt like a vow to rebuild their family, the earth cool and grounding beneath their fingers. Miss Harper visited with a sketchbook, encouraging Lily to draw her fears, resulting in a vibrant image of the penthouse bathed in sunlight, Emily's flowers blooming, a vision of hope that made James's eyes glisten as he hung, it on Sarah's fridge. Yet as night fell, Lily's anxiety crept back, her sleep fractured by dreams of Cassandra's shadow lurking outside, the burner phone texts about keeping the kid quiet haunting her like a ghost. Sarah's updates offered some comfort, Mr. Daniel's noting Cassandra's pattern of fleeing after failed cons, but Lily couldn't shake the dread that her wounded ego might drive her to return. Her quiet evening with James, sharing pizza and stories of Emily's quirky flower naming, like moonlit dancer for a white rose, brought a fragile normalcy, their laughter a tentative bridge over the chasm of fear. As Lily hugged James, "Good night," his arms tight around her, she felt the unshakable strength of their bond forged in the fire of Cassandra's betrayal, but also the lingering terror of her escape. Sarah's townhouse settled into silence, the rain a soft lullaby, but Lily lay awake, her pendant a talisman against the darkness, knowing they'd stopped the wedding, but not the threat, her heart torn between relief at saving her father and the fear of what Cassandra might do next. James, sensing her restlessness, sat on her bed, his voice soft. "We're stronger than she is, Lily, because we have each other," a promise that warmed her despite the uncertainty, as they braced for whatever lay ahead, united against the shadow still lurking beyond their safe haven. Seattle's summer sun bathed the Carter penthouse in golden light, transforming the once sterile space into a haven of warmth, with vases of daisies and Lily's vibrant sketches of her mother Emily's garden adorning the walls, a quiet testament to the healing that had taken root since the chaos of Cassandra Wells's betrayal. 8-year-old Lily sat on the balcony, her scrapbook journal open to a fresh page, where she drew the Puget Sound at dusk, its waters shimmering under a pink sky, her mother's daisy pendant catching the light as she hummed Emily's favorite lullaby, the fear that had gripped her for months easing like a tide going out. James, her father, had rediscovered his spark, his tech company Nexus Innovations thriving. But more profoundly, his laughter echoed through the penthouse, a sound Lily hadn't heard so freely since Emily's death, their bond now an unshakable fortress forged through their shared ordeal. 4 months after the aborted wedding, Detective Larson delivered the news that Cassandra, revealed as Laura Bennett, had been apprehended in Vancouver, caught attempting to board a flight to Lisbon. With a forged passport, her capture a long-awaited relief that washed over Lily and James like a cleansing rain. Ethan, her accomplice, had cooperated fully, exposing their scams across 3 states, earning a 7-year sentence, while Cassandra faced 15 for fraud and conspiracy, ensuring they'd never threaten the Carters again. James channeled the experience into the Emily Carter Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to protecting families from financial scams, with Lily as a junior advisor, her sharp instincts shaping seminars that taught parents and children to recognize warning signs adults often overlooked. The penthouse had been reborn, Cassandra's cold minimalist decor replaced with cozy furniture, colorful throws and Emily's beloved flowers, a reclamation of their home that felt like a triumph over the darkness that had once loomed. On high. The one-year anniversary of the wedding that never happened, James planned a surprise in the building's rooftop garden, blindfolding Lily as he guided her up the stairs, her giggles ringing out, "Dad, is this really necessary? Come on." He removed the blindfold to reveal a transformed garden, fairy lights twinkling in the warm breeze, a picnic table laden with Lily's favorite strawberry shortcake, lemonade, and a spread of sandwiches, surrounded by Aunt Sarah, Ms. Harper, Detective Larson, now retired, Mr. Daniels, the investigator who'd unraveled Cassandra's past, and even Rosa, the housekeeper who'd unknowingly aided Lily's snooping. Surprised, they cheered, their faces glowing with pride, and Lily's eyes widened at a wooden bench inscribed with "Forever Our Light, Emily," nestled among blooming daisies, a memorial to her mother that brought a lump to her throat. Sarah handed Lily a velvet box containing a silver locket, inside a pressed daisy from Emily's collection, engraved with "Trust Your Heart," a gift from James that made her eyes glisten as he knelt to her level. "You saved us, Lily. Not just from Cassandra, but from losing who we are." The celebration unfolded with laughter and stories, Larson sharing how Lily's courage inspired a new police protocol for taking children's concerns seriously, while Ms. Harper praised her latest artwork, a vivid painting of the penthouse, garden alive with Emily's flowers, now framed in the living room. As the sun sank, casting an orange glow over the city, James and Lily sat by the bench, the skyline sparkling like a promise, and Lily asked, "Dad, do you think Mom's watching us? Is she proud?" James's voice caught, "Absolutely, sweetheart. You've got her intuition and my stubbornness. She'd be cheering you on." The Foundation's first community event was days away, with Lily set to deliver a short speech about trusting instincts, her small voice poised to carry weight because of the adults who now valued her insight. The rooftop felt like a sacred space, a new beginning rooted in their resilience, and as James wrapped an arm around her, Lily felt a deep sense of safety, Cassandra's shadow replaced by the certainty of their love. A quiet moment with Sarah, sharing a slice of shortcake, brought memories of Emily teaching them to weave daisy chains, her laughter echoing in their smiles, while Rosa teased Lily about her sneaky detective skills, making her blush. "We're still us, Dad," Lily said, leaning into James as the stars emerged, and he nodded. "That's the best part. We found our way back to each other, stronger than ever." The garden hummed with the joy of their makeshift family, and as they walked back to the penthouse hand in hand, Lily knew they'd turned their pain into something beautiful, a legacy of courage and love that honored Emily's memory. The city pulsed below, but their home was a haven of peace, filled with laughter and light, a family whole again, their hearts intertwined with the past and open to a future where no deception could break them.